All right. Well, there is a lot of intrigue happening in D.C. When is there not? But especially today, Paul Manafort now under house arrest this morning, along with former business partner Rick Gates, after pleading not guilty to conspiracy and money laundering charges. So where does the case go, and what does this mean for the agenda? Let's bring in right now former prosecutor Doug Burns and conservative commentator Erich Reimer. Guys, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Doug, I want to start with you on the legal side of this. If you look at these 12 counts, I mean, all of these allegations, these charges go back to a time before Paul Manafort was with the Trump campaign. You know, we're talking conspiracy, money laundering. They didn't report they were working for a foreign government. The shell companies hiding $18 million in profits. I mean, these charges are pretty intense. At the same time, though, can they link this legally to his time working for President Donald Trump? Because the left-wing media right now is already putting that connection together.
Yeah, no, I think you have to be very careful and not, just try to gloss it over as though, look at this indictment, therefore there's collusion. That's unbelievably reckless legally. I mean, basically, I'll give you A and B. A is that this indictment, as everybody has said, has virtually nothing to do with the campaign or the relevant time periods of the campaign. That's crystal clear. B, however, is that many of us were saying, based on our, long years of experience with federal criminal law and investigations, that they were going to ostensibly target him, try to put pressure on him to somehow cooperate. Looking into my crystal ball, I'm not so sure. I don't think he will end up cooperating with them on this. But that seems to be the gambit that they're doing because, again, broken record, the indictment does not involve the campaign period.
But, Eric, what they're doing is, and again, I'm seeing this all over, mainstream media, is they're connecting in George Giannopoulos. And they're saying that because of George Giannopoulos, he was a member, he's a 30-year-old kid, he's on the campaign staff at one point, and that he did have contact with a Russian person that he believed had dirt on Hillary Clinton. Turned out not to be the case, but that he lied about it. And this was unsealed yesterday. So I think that this is where, the media is already making the connection between the Trump campaign, collusion, Russia, and the Manafort case, but is it really there? Doug seems to say not really.
I don't think so either. I think anyone who's been following the Mueller-Russia investigation is not surprised by the latest developments. I think the fact that the Manafort indictment, as was mentioned, does not include anything regarding Manafort's activities during the Trump campaign. It has no smoking gun linking President Trump to Russia collusion. And also, there are definitely a lot of other floating indictments going around, such as the one regarding this supposed Trump foreign policy advisor, and also more interestingly as well, the involvement of Tony Podesta and consequently whatever links that might have to John Podesta as well. And so I think there's a lot of moving parts on this indictment, and there's no clear smoking gun, so to say, for anybody. I think we're going to have to let the wheels of justice turn, and in the meantime, there's a lot of policy priorities that need to get done by the administration and by Congress.
And the question, of course, is that's already been asked of Paul Ryan in particular. Other Republicans seem to be skirting the question by reporters yesterday. What does this mean for the agenda? We just don't know yet. But, Doug, what we do know, and I want to correct myself, George Papadopoulos,
Yeah.
I mean, this plea agreement with him, that's one side of this that everyone's jumping on. But the other side is kind of these charges, again, against Manafort and against Gates. I mean, these are some pretty serious charges. They obviously went through Manafort's home over the summer. They obviously pulled hard drives. I mean, they looked for documents, and they seem to have it. I mean, $18 million that he laundered, allegedly. $12 million he spent of that cash that he laundered, so he didn't pay tax on it. Home improvements, $500,000 in clothing, rugs, luxury cars. They have all this evidence, Doug. This doesn't look good for Manafort.
It's a common situation, as I said. I mean, you can get into a seminar and a discussion about the parameters of the investigation. It was originally tasked with, collusion during the election cycle. Then on the other side, you'll hear screaming. Other independent counsels have similarly broadened their scope and so on. But on the Papadopoulos play, I want to make this clear because that's a classic example of something that can be mistranslated a little bit. He was not charged with any underlying crime. He was charged with what we call 1001, lying into FBI interviews about the chronology. He said he wasn't with the campaign when he had met these people. But 10 times more critically, is that the meeting never took place.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, we talked about this yesterday. You take the little fish, you try to get them to turn on the bigger fish. Now we've got a name of the little fish. And,
right.
and this thing could, again, blow up and really kind of,
yes.
the tentacles may get worse, and that's the question about the agenda. Gentlemen, we have to leave it there. We appreciate it, though. Doug, Eric, appreciate you being here.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much.